Pikmin. Possibly one of the most sexy creatures that Shigeru Miyamoto has ever created. Just look at that form, that scrumptious body, that nose. A perfect 10 in my book. So, I was about 7 years old when I first played Pikmin 1 for the GameCube. But that game was way too hard for me as a kid. All that resource management? Yeah, no thanks. I'll just stick to my Sunshine and Wind Waker. Since then, I've never played another Pikmin game. However, recently I picked up a Wii U on the cheap, and I thought, why not? I like commanding hordes of tiny little creatures and throwing them into the mouths of my enemies. So I played Pikmin 3, and I'm not that good at the game. Here's a clip to show my incompetence. I still hear the screams in my sleep. Pikmin 3 was released on July 13, 2013, and this is the first Pikmin game not to star Olimar. Rather, it stars 3 Copites, Alf, Brittany, and Charlie. They've been sent to planet PNF 404. It kinda looks like Earth, but I'm pretty sure it's just a coincidence. And like Pikmin fashion, they crash land. They end up losing their Cosmic Drive Key, which is a device they need to get back to the planet of Kopai. The world in this game is beautiful. Like all Pikmin games, it has a more realistic style to it, compared to other Nintendo games. Every level is well designed and it's filled with so much detail. It feels like you're actually exploring a real planet. And the game runs at a smooth 60 FPS. Really, the only time I ever see a dip is during the juicing process. These parts, the frame rate really tanks. It's most likely caused by the physics that happen during these parts. But the actual gameplay is a rock solid 60 FPS. This really makes me excited to see what a Pikmin 4 could look like on the Switch, if that ever happens. Now the goal of the game isn't to find treasure like Olimar in Pikmin 2, or find ship parts in Pikmin 1, but rather you'll be hunting down fruit because the planet of Kopai is having a famine and they need it to save the planet. This food is also consumed 1 jar every night by the crew to survive. Run out and it's game over. But don't worry, you can always travel back in time to a previous day and redo everything, basically. Pikmin 3 isn't a punishing game. It's very easy to restock on Pikmin and there's plenty of easy food to get. By the end of the game, I was left with a huge surplus of food. The only real challenging part of the game is trying to keep your Pikmin losses to a minimum. If you don't care how many Pikmin you lose, the game's pretty easy to beat. For those who don't know how a Pikmin game plays, it goes something like this. As of Pikmin 3, you take control of 3 commanders, and you're equipped with a Copad, a device that stores all your data logs that you find, and you can use it as a map and a camera. While using the Copad, the game is paused, allowing you to plan out what kind of Pikmin you'll need and how many of each type. You can have up to 100 Pikmin at one time on the map. This includes Pikmin that you haven't plucked yet. You're free to change your Pikmin squad at any time when you visit the Onion, the home base of the Pikmin. Killing enemies allow you to carry the corpses back to the Onion, and use it as a genetic material for new Pikmin. Whichever majority Pikmin is carrying the body, that's the type of Pikmin the Onion will produce. This game features red, yellow, blue, rock, and winged Pikmin for the main story. It also has white and purple Pikmin for bonus game modes, but I won't be talking about those two. Red Pikmin are not affected by fire, and they're stronger than other Pikmin. Yellow Pikmin are lighter and can be thrown higher. They're also not affected by electricity, and they can dig faster than other Pikmin. They have a lot of abilities. It's almost like someone's playing favorites. Also, it's really sad when another Pikmin gets electrocuted. They just lie there, seizing. It just breaks my heart. Everything's gonna be okay. Shh, shh. Everything's gonna be okay. Blue Pikmin have the ability to swim while other Pikmin panic in water. The blue Pikmin also lost the ability to rescue their drowning brothers. I guess they got sick of saving them. Rock Pikmin are heavy and can't be squished. With their heavy nature, they're also able to smash crystals and stun enemies. Finally, the winged Pikmin. They can fly and they're also generally just weaker. They're good at fighting flying enemies, but apparently they don't do more damage to them. Winged Pikmin are super convenient because they fly over most obstacles. And oh boy, obstacles. One thing I hope that they improve on the next Pikmin game is pathfinding. Now I hear it got a lot better since Pikmin 1 and 2, but it still needs some work. Pikmin are constantly getting stuck around corners and getting lost. I don't know how many Pikmin I lost at the end of the day because they got stuck somewhere and died because we left without them. The game plays on a day-by-day cycle. When night is approaching, you and your crew have to leave the planet. Anything left behind, it's munch meat. Speaking about really bad pathfinding, the lily pads gave me so much trouble. The game allows you to set a destination in which a commander will follow automatically. And for some reason, the commanders will not jump off the lily pads. It's weird. They'll jump on it just fine. Also, Pikmin don't have any problem using these with their pathfinding. So it's just bizarre that the commanders aren't able to jump off the lily pads. And then they miss the stop and then they have to go back around and do it all over again. It just wastes so much time. And time is precious in Pikmin. Okay, so I'm done with my little rant about the pathfinding. So, spoiler time. From here on out, I'll be talking about the later parts of the game. So, here's your spoiler warning. In Pikmin 3, we have 5 different zones. Each one is kind of the same with a slight twist to them. The base template is like a garden, and then sometimes there's like a sandy beach, a tundra, or more garden. The areas in the game are pretty short, and if you want to beat the game by ignoring all the fruit and just getting the cosmic warp drive, you could probably beat the game in like 8 in-game days. You'll get the bad ending out of 3 different endings. There's plenty of enemies in the game to fight. Now I hear that a lot of these enemies are taken from Pikmin 2 and there's actually less enemies than Pikmin 2. But for me, as someone who hasn't played Pikmin 2, I found the amount of different enemies to be fair. It isn't a lot, like some games like Breath of the Wild where you only fight moblins. There's about 20 different unique enemies, not counting variant types. So this is definitely enough to satisfy me, personally. There's also a bunch of hidden sub-bosses, along with the main boss. Something's really satisfying about getting a horde of 100 Pikmin and charging at a single enemy. Seeing those little Pikmin just demolish a giant. So throughout the game, you'll find data logs from Olimar. They contain information about enemies and how to defeat them, as well as just little lore tidbits. There's also 10 different secret data files. The contents of the data file is always randomized depending on the save you're playing on. Once you click all 10 secret data files, you can use it on the Wii U browser and go to the Pikmin 3 website. You can find a video from Olimar. It's kind of annoying that you have to use the Wii U browser, but hey, you could just look this up on YouTube now, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know why they didn't put this in the game. You could just have a menu option where you put in the secret code to get your video, but for some reason they really wanted you to use the Wii U browser. If you try going to the site on a regular browser, it'll tell you to use the Wii U browser. It's kinda dumb, but whatever. Also, something that comes from the data log is the knowledge that Olimar is on this planet, along with Louie. Eventually you find Louie and you find out that Olimar is in trouble and he also has found the crew's cosmic drive key, the thing that the crew needs to get back home. So pretty much the goal of the game is to save Olimar. So you could basically beat the game by just trying to save Olimar and ignoring the fruit. I was able to beat the game in about 10 hours and 35 in-game days. I was also able to 100% the game, with all fruits and data logs. I managed to save 64 juice jars, 64 a very Nintendo number to end it on, and for the saddest stat of the game, I lost a total of 712 brave Pikmin. War never changes. Let's have a moment of silence for those brave little soldiers. Okay, enough moping around. Even though I was pretty bad at the game, I still enjoyed my time with it. I'm not a big fan of resource management games, but Pikmin 3 was the exception. Managing your crew in different locations and splitting your Pikmin party to try and accomplish different goals in order to be more optimal was a real treat. That being said, please do not make us control 4 commanders in Pikmin 4. That's just too much. I'll die. Please. And I do hope Pikmin 4 gets a release on the Switch, as well as a collection of Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. It would be fantastic to give people the opportunity to try this amazing game and its predecessors. I would love to go back and play Pikmin 1 and 2 in beautiful HD. So Nintendo, Miyamoto, make it happen. Well, I have to go and prepare a memorial service for my fallen Pikmin. I'll see you in the next one.